Good morning. Our hand today is going to be pocket eights. We're short-handed with 5 players. This is a 5 NL game. So right here under the gun, mid-position player open raises to 3.4. I think that's a little unusual size. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of information on this player. This is only his 20th hand. But we do know he's playing about 20%. So I kind of set up a range that started looking like this, but he is the first person to act. He's probably going to be skewed a little bit more towards better hands. And since he bet larger, I kind of feel like it's going to be more of bigger hands. So I'm going to say like less of these and probably more like jacks and tens, hands that a lot of players aren't comfortable playing, especially out of position. I think I see a lot of players just kind of bet more. They bet smaller, a bit smaller with those hands. So I think what we're going to do is kind of refine this, which really kind of throws off, his range. But something where he's going to have the big hands, but he's also going to have something like this. Hands that he's going to bet larger because he doesn't really want to play them out of position. He'd rather just pick up the fold. Something like this. And this is a small range. This is like 7%. This isn't saying he's only playing 7%. I'm just saying with this bet sizing, I'm going to go with something like that. So then it folds to me and I just call, and here I have a 3-better call range, and I think based on that it's probably okay to just call here, because I think if we raise, he's probably going to be calling with all of these hands. I'm wondering if I should throw in queens. I think I'm going to keep queens in there, get rid of the 50%, just say 100% queens. So these are all like the middle cards. And nines are probably 50% chance that he does that with nines. He could possibly bet smaller with nines. So something like that. I'm okay with just calling here, seeing what develops, seeing how he plays it. So the flop comes down 7-7-6. It's actually pretty good. So with this type of board, you figure that this doesn't hit villain's range, especially if he's got a normal like mid-position range that has these lower pocket pairs, suited connectors. If he c-bets, this is definitely a flop that we could raise. Kind of raising a little bit for protection. We figure that this doesn't hit villain, so we're applying pressure on him. We're betting, we're building the pot, and now he has to connect. And really, there's a lot of cards that could come that won't help him at all. So the thing is like, does he call with a 9-10? Yeah, probably, because he's got, going maybe for the gut shot, but we block the 8s. Does he call with like jack queen? No, probably not, unless he has diamonds. Does he call with like a king jack or a king 10? No, but he could. I think most likely cards that would call if I raise here would be like ace king, ace queen. So really I'm looking to dodge the ace on the turn and maybe the king. I think queen, jack, 10, I think those are all cards that we can continue betting. So what happens in this hand? Villain checks, and that's a little unusual. So once he checks, I'm going to get rid of the overpair and just basically say we're looking at something like that. Ace high, no made hand, and we're going to just X out that overpair. So something like that, where he's unpaired. Once he checks behind, what should I do? I think we should just go ahead and bet. And I bet 6. I bet about 2/3, no 3/4. I think that's appropriate. I think with that check, again, we could bet our decent hand. So I'd say middle pair plus. And then I think we're betting our flush draws, our gut shots. Definitely. And then 2-card backdoor flush draws. I think that counts. So that's probably it. We're going to have, I don't think we're going to have a whole lot more. Like we already have the gut shot at 9-10. We could do like Jack 10 to kind of build up our higher. Don't really like betting with the aces, but I guess the aces, if we have an ace, that's one less ace that villain is going to have, especially if we have a diamond. So I think that's kind of, if you've got the lone diamond, that's probably what we could be betting, especially with ace jack and the king queen. So yeah, we don't have the one card, but I think the diamonds are ones that we could bet. So that's our bet. And then what do I expect him to call? I kind of expect him to call with these ace high hands. Maybe not all of them, but probably ace king, probably ace queen. He's probably at this point calling with a flush draw. I don't think he's calling with the no mate hand. I mean, he could be check calling, thinking that I'm awfully wide. So I bet he calls queen. I think that it's actually a decent card for us. I mean, it's aces. Let's see here, an ace and a king are probably the worst cards that could come, and then queen would be the second. Jacks and lowers, I think, are actually going to be pretty decent. Jack and lower, pretty decent. He checks. I check behind. I think that's. I think villain's going to be checking everything. I think if we bet, he's probably calling all of his top pair at this point, his flush draws. So, if we look at, his range, it's almost like 30%, 32% is what he's going to be folding. 31% is what he's going to be folding. I have to bet kind of small to get that immediate profit. I think with the queen, we would be betting quads, full house. I think top pair, we probably bet again. And that means we have the flush draw that we could continue betting. Although with the flush draw, you have to consider that if he just hit that queen and we bet, he may raise and put us at a tough situation. So I kind of feel like if we got a flush draw, we have potential draws that we don't want to have to give up. So because of that, maybe then our play is to check even with our premium hands. So top pair, pocket pair less than the top card. Our weak pair would be that bluff. That's what it would be. We would do our bluff with the weak pair. 4 and 5, or the no made hand. I think if we add no made hand, that's going to be too much, but and if we do that, we're better balanced. And that means that's leaving us with those pocket pairs, flush draws, gut shots, kind of as our checking range. So I think that's probably what we want. So what do? I checked. That's right, I checked. So yeah, before I would have said, hey, that the hand looks like that could have helped us. We should continue firing even with our diamond draw. But I'm starting to see that maybe that's not a good deal, because if they call lightly and they catch that queen, this could be a decent check raise opportunity for him, and it's really going to put me in a tough spot. I've just built a massive pot on a draw. Many cases, I'm not even going to get the odds to draw to that diamond draw. So, I think it's okay to check behind, and it's just a question of, do we check everything, like including our top pair? We do. I think there is somewhat of a need to protect, but we've got, I think, not so much protect. They've already called, so there's a possibility that they also have like jacks and 10s and 9s and 8s I'd assume he would c-bet those, but you never know. So right now I'm thinking villain has something, maybe a queen. Ace of diamonds comes on the river, and I think that this is just a bad run out for us. We do have a draw. We do have a diamond in our range. When villain checks, I think he could have two pair, could have top pair, could have the flush. I think he could be just checking to see what I do, and then that means that with us, I think we bet our flush, our king 10, our nut flush draw, probably our second nut flush draw, maybe like just all of our nut flush draws, and then like our nothing hand could just be a bluff. I think it's consistent with how we could play. We have a diamond draw, we bet, we bet the flop, we get called, and then we check behind on the turn on something that didn't really improve us, and then the river, the ace comes with the diamond. Okay, so we don't have the ace X of diamonds, but we could have any other diamond flush draw, so we check. So I like the check behind. I like the check on the turn. I like the check on the river, specifically with our hand. I don't think we have showdown value with weak pair. We beat anything that he was drawing to. And with the eights, we block like the 8-9. So we check. He shows nines. We didn't have it in his range because we kind of assumed he would be betting here with that overpair. And maybe that's it. Maybe he would bet with like ace, king, and queen, but then these he just checks behind, which again, it kind of seems strange that he would play it this way. But I mean, it's 5NL, so. We're going to take some notes on this player. So he RFI, under the gun, MP5 hand. So just kind of note, racehorse under the gun, 3.4 big blinds with 9 of spades, 9 of clubs, and then he check called. So actually we're going to say he's out of position. And then he check calls, check on a 7 clubs, 7 diamonds, 6 of diamonds board, queen of hearts, ace of diamonds. So we lost the hand to the nines. Could we have picked it up? Yeah, maybe if we bet the turn, we get him to fold. I think though we probably would have needed a river bet as well, a turn and a river bet, because the queen, it's not an ace. If the ace came on the turn and we bet the turn, then it's going to be hard for him to call with the nines. But in this case, we don't have a whole lot of information on the player, and what I typically see is I see players call the flop bet with ace king, ace queen. So if the ace comes on the turn, I think it's less likely that he's actually going to fold. I think just the general population is less likely to fold if that ace comes on the turn. So I think if we bet the turn and he calls, I'd lean more towards like a queen, and then the ace is, at this point, if we bet, we're hoping that he had like a hand like king queen or queen jack that floated, and now is scared of the ace. But that's the ace of diamond. So when you look at my range and say, well, what could I be doing it with? Yeah, you can have the nut flush draw. That's possible, like ace 9, ace 10 of diamonds. Maybe ace 8 of diamonds. I'm in position on the button, made that call, but then the ace of diamonds comes out and it's like, okay, well, you don't have any of those hands, so what were you betting on? Maybe you were betting as a bluff, and thus you get called. So if we 3-bet, he probably doesn't fold, or he probably doesn't call pre-flop. So that could be one way. I don't necessarily feel bad about this hand. I do like how I check the turn. I think that's a proper play, because we have, if we have a flush draw, we don't want to bet and get raised off of it. And I have been raised off of those plenty of times. to even worry about. I think there's better hands that we could bluff, including like a gut shot, or even these no mate hands, these that don't even have anything, any draw potential, just to go ahead and bluff, because if he wins, hey, that's great. It's ahead, almost no prospect of winning with those anyways. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another hand.